if there was no Hollywood, would it currently be Ashley and Kwame right now?
Definitely.
And I told her she can have this dude, you dig? She can go with him.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. We're talking to you guys today about Put a Ring in It. We're dealing with Ashley and Hollywood and talking about the real deal. I want to give my unsolicited opinion around their relationship and talk about as well some of the stuff that we've seen in Reunion and also some of the interviews that we've done with them as well. Guys, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, like, share, subscribe to this channel, click on that bell button for notifications of what up, loads, baby. And for those of you who are returning, well, you got the minerals, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Don't watch that. All right, cool. So let's talk really some real stuff today. I want to break it down. There probably will be 2 videos of this because we're going to want to go deep. So many people have obviously watched Ashley and Hollywood, have their own opinions. Many people are Team Hollywood, Team Ashley, Team Kwame. Many people have chosen different sides, which is fine. Absolutely, it's your opinion. You're allowed to have those. What I want to really focus on is the key issues of what's going on. So I want to kind of give an overall picture. First of all, let's look at their actual ages because this plays a big role in the mentality, expectations, and how people may view a relationship. So I believe Ashley's 39. Hollywood, I believe, is 40 plus. I'm not sure the exact age that he is, but he. You know, they're 40, they're the 40 hill, right? Now I'm almost 30 myself, so I know that there's a maturity that comes with age of experiences. Yeah, now you expect somebody who's 40 to be mature. Now that's life in general. Most of us expect a 40-year-old, male or female, to be some level of maturity, which means that we have some level of standard that we expect at a certain age. We also expect that by a certain age, most of us will be married by, and we would have kids by now, etc., etc. By 40, you are on the cusp of saying, you know, you'd like to have had kids maybe 10 years ago, maybe. You know, like this is the perfect quota, if I call it that, you know what I'm saying, right? Life is changing, society is changing, people are having children much later, not a problem. I'm just kind of giving you a bit of the insight of the outer external forces that can play into the mindset of people, okay? When you get to a certain age also, you do start to think to yourself, you know, where would I find the right person for me that I could get with? Now, in that particular scenario, when you get to that 30, that 40, you have to start thinking about those who are divorcees, you have to think about those who've got kids and stuff like that, right? So you're not going to be able to say indefinitely I want a perfect spouse, because to be honest, the age you're getting to, many people have been in maybe long-term relationships, been married, etc., divorced, etc., had kids, so it's understandable of that age, right? Okay, great. So that's the kind of understanding of where I believe Ashley and Hollywood are. And I think for Ashley, especially for women that are getting older, it's almost slightly different to them to how it is for us men, right? Because you will see that if you're a slightly older gentleman, you can date slightly younger man. Whereas when it's a woman dating a slightly younger woman, it can be a little bit more, slightly younger man, it can be a little bit of complications, especially with maturity, especially with life phase and cycle where the person is at, and just a general society view on actual relationships and actual how they feel about older women with younger men, cougar, you know what I mean? But with Ashley and Hollywood, I think one of the greatest issues that we have at the moment is emotional stability and an emotional safety.
But if I still don't see the emotional safety that I need to see in you as somebody that I would look at as my husband, I'm not moving.
So, Dr. Nicole, I
actually think emotional stability comes within emotional safety. So I want to break down emotional safety so you understand when she's saying emotional safety, what she means by that and what that will mean for you in your relationships. So emotional safety is the place where you can be naked and vulnerable emotionally to your partner, where you won't feel shame, where you won't feel embarrassment, where you won't feel insulted, where you won't feel despised, you won't feel laughed at. For sharing your thoughts, your opinions, and your feelings and emotions. When you're able to do that comfortably, where your emotions are able to be taken care of, this is emotional safety. When someone begins to impede on your emotional safety, meaning that they don't take care of your emotions, they don't care for your emotions, they're being dismissive is another thing that also breaks emotional safety. Okay, that's a very big one that many people don't realize. You saw that with Hollywood. You also saw it with Shay. Shay was being emotionally dismissive. Actually, she was destroying a lot of their emotional safety places. So that's a very big aspect in emotional safety. The thing with Hollywood was in what we've seen is that when it comes to her sharing her feelings to him, it's not a safe space. And I want to make it very, very clear. Emotional safety or emotional safety is not physical safety. I can feel physically safe with you, knowing you never do something to me, but not feel emotionally safe with you. Meaning I may not be able to give you parts of me because I know how you move. And I'll be very, very transparent with yourselves, guys, or very honest if you want to call it that, because I'm volunteering that information without you asking. I've been in a situation where the person physically was very safe. The partner I was with, very safe. Loved her. Great person. Personality A1. I love her. She loved me. You understand? But when it came to arguments, for instance, the person became a different person. Insults, cussing, da-da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? It became an emotionally unsafe space. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're not able to share your fears without it being laughed at, without it being taken unseriously, without it being dismissed, then we've got an emotional safety issue. When you yourself also, you are from 0 to 100 very quickly when information comes to you, you're also creating an emotional unsafe space. This does not mean when Hollywood's reaction to when she kissed somebody was emotional safety. No, that was not. He had every right to react the way he was reacting. That wasn't to do with emotional safety. When she was going on to dates before the Kwame situation and she was coming in, I made this example, the very first episode when she was coming in and she saw Hollywood and she said Hollywood, and Hollywood asked her, how was the date? And she began to talk about the date and he began to get frustrated and annoyed and bubble it up. And before he knew it, he began to take it to another level. Right? And it became almost like an argument, a bashing down of her, right? That, for me, I noticed from early, that's like second episode. I said, whoa, emotional safety. And what she's talking about emotional stability, she's talking about the fact that your emotions go up and down. This is what Dr. Nicole was talking about, the regulating the temperature. You need to regulate the temperature. When the situation wasn't going his way, he would say, oh, but I'm done with the relationship then. Listen, there's nothing wrong with saying I'm done with the relationship, Can I be honest with you? Can I be very frank with you? There is nothing wrong with you doing, I want to exit the relationship. Exit then. Can I be real? Like, this is me going to be very honest. I've done that. And very quickly it can turn into manipulation. You won't realize it's manipulation, because what you're trying to say is that I don't want to keep. Listen, you can have a genuine feeling that something is not right and you don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Then establish that in a way by dictating that this is a boundary for me, and this if this is a behavior that you want to continue to exercise, I want to be able to exit. Now, when you say it like that, it's different. Not when you're saying, I'll be done with a relationship then. No, because then that's not regulating the emotions. Do you see what I'm saying? So then the person then feels like every single time there's something happening, there's going to be an emotional reaction. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, once or twice, we're not saying that. Once or twice, it happens. Everybody does it. No one's saying about that. When it's a regular pattern of behavior, then we've got a problem. Okay? And I think what's happened here is this. This has been a regular behavior of Hollywood's, okay? All right? I'm going to come on to Ashley, don't worry. It's been regular behavior of Hollywood. But what's happened is during the course of the show, Ashley has leveled up emotionally to understand this is not something that I want. It's tight.
You've not always been emotionally honest with each other. That's how you got to the first bump. Mm-hmm. The first bump was you weren't emotionally honest about how you.
Because sometimes what happens is people can learn something and realize, whoa, that is not where I wanted to be. So yes, the 9 years he's been amazing, he's been great, he's been doing stuff, etc., etc. But there've been parts of the relationship which have not been great. But she's bypassed it because maybe there wasn't a full understanding of what this behavior was. She didn't like it, but it wasn't a full understanding of it. Then what's happened is the show has come along. Kwame is not necessarily the issue, it's what Kwame represents. When Kwame showed her the other side, that hey, there are going to be people that are going to like you, there's going to be people that are going to find you attractive, there's going to be people who can bring you another side of relationships, of showing you some maturity, emotionally, stability. This is another side of things. Then you realize, oh my God, it's possible. And at that point, what you had no longer is acceptable. It's called growth. It's called growth. So at that point, you've got a choice to make. Do I stay in a relationship? Or do I help you grow? And do I pinpoint the issues where we can grow? And this is why I said that very early on. I said it in the interview, and I said it to Ashley personally. I've said it to Hollywood personally. I've said it on previous reviews. The scene where they're in the car is the most important scene. Because at that point, she was about to release the gems to him. She was about to release the answers to the test to him. She was about to tell him, bro, this is the answers that you need to help us get to the next step. Did he take it? No. Pride kicked in at that point. I know what I need to do. You see, you don't know what you need to do. And because pride was kicking in, he didn't get the answers to the test. Right? So now the opportunity to learn what the person needs is gone. Because actually you had an opportunity and you decided not to take it because pride was in the way. Right? So now what Ashley is beginning to see is the problematic behaviors that she ignored previously. Not that he's a bad guy. I want you to understand this very, very clearly. Because if you take it somewhere else than what it actually is, you'll miss it. I am not saying Hollywood's a bad guy. He's not evil. He's not a bad boyfriend per se. No. We are talking about behaviors. And we're talking about when you become leveled up emotionally, there are certain things you cannot accept. For instance, let me give you an example. For me, I don't take insults. I can't do them. I don't understand why when we're talking to each other, we have to insult each other. Or what, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand why when we get to a level, we have to swear each other. I hate it. Shouting's another one. You know what I'm saying? Once in a while, we all shout, we all raise our voices, that we get it. Do you know what I mean? But most importantly, I should never be swearing at you. I should never be cussing you like with energy. It should never happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Because as much as I may be frustrated, I've got to get to a place where I'm regulated. This is a behavior I do not want to promote, right? But some people might be like, oh, that's okay for me. That's fine. But as for me, the level that I've got to, this is not acceptable behavior for me. It's not. So, and if someone's in a relationship with you and they've normalized that particular behavior, to me, it will look like dysfunction because I've leveled to a point where that's not acceptable for me. But some of you, it may be acceptable for you. And therefore, like Ashley's having at the moment, at the point in time in those 9 years, it was acceptable. Came on the show, her eyes open like Paul did in the Damascus Road, and suddenly it doesn't make sense anymore. Suddenly the illumination has clicked and she's grown from that point and she no longer accepts that behavior. Do you get it? So now we've got a situation where Hollywood, okay, the old Hollywood is no longer the acceptable model. The old Hollywood in terms of emotional maturity, coming into emotional stability and talking about emotional safety is no longer the acceptable model. Problem. Why is the problem? The problem is this. Although you're not that person emotionally at that level for Ashley, this is what I believe that she's thinking. I've spent 9 years with you. I've put so much time, effort, emotions, my body, my money. You understand? I've put everything, and you vice versa put everything into me for 9 years. Do I just let it go? Or do I wait to see if you can grow? The trouble is when you come to that kind of illumination, the patience to wait for someone else to get to that place is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Do you understand? This is one aspect of what's happened because, like I said, there's other aspects that I've also included, but I want to bring this point to you, right? The other side of things when it comes to Hollywood dealing with Ashley, before I go back on it, the other side of Hollywood dealing with Ashley is this. Hollywood wants to marry Ashley indefinitely. That's not even that's not a debate. He wants to marry her. But he's also very much aware of the past issues that he's done, right? And I believe he's kind of sticking it out a little bit more. One, because obviously, like I said, their age. But two, also as well, because like, yo, this is a girl that he genuinely wants. He genuinely wants her. This is why he so wants to push for them to get married, because he genuinely loves her. This is undebatable. You understand? The struggle that he's having at the moment in regards to their relationship is the fact that there was this kiss that happened with Kwame. Let me keep it 100% real. You already know. I said I was Team Hollywood. And one of the things I realized about the situation between Kwame, Hollywood, Ashley situation is this. When they came into the actual show, Hollywood had made up his mind that he wasn't going to do anything, right? Let's say he came with that mindset that he won't come to do anything. Okay. Then obviously, you know, she also came into the show open-minded. Let me keep it real with you. She may say she wasn't coming for a connection. I'm not saying she was, but I'm saying she came open-minded. There's a difference. The one is premeditated and the other one is opportunistic. Opportunistic means I wait for something to arrive. The other one is premeditated. I went there with a plan. I don't believe Ashley went there with a plan, but she definitely was very open to a scenario where something could happen, right? To see if she genuinely felt the way she felt about Hollywood. Do you understand? Because remember, before this, we've had a situation with the proposals, the failed proposals, the pain and the hurt of losing a father at the time as well, and not being able to have that opportunity again, not taking the opportunity to leave originally when she should have left. Yeah, so this situation now, when they've come into the show, this is why they have a conversation about expectations, right? And the expectation was that you can do anything but this. Now, here's the thing. I said to Hollywood the same thing in the interview. You can't have an expectation and then think that when a person decides to play around within the expectation you've given them and then get angry about it. You know, although they came on the show to be boyfriend and girlfriend, I agree with that 100%. But the trouble is, when you came on a show that was going to disband those expectations. You came on a show where you're going to date. Who does that in dating? When you're already in a relationship, who dates other people? You're already breaking boundaries. So any normal expectations that you had are out the window. I would never come on the show in the first place. I know why they came on the show, because they thought they were going to get some counseling with that. But I would have never. I would have said, nah. Do you know what? For me, I'm quitting the process. Once I realized it's a dating thing, I'm quitting the process. This is not for me. And if you want to stay, that's fine. But for me, it's not something I believe. I want to get counseling, but I don't need to go for this far length to do that. But they decided to hold it down and stay at the beginning, right? In fact, I don't know if you remember at the very beginning. You know, Hollywood was very happy about these dates. It was only when Ashley was happy about going, he was a little bit happy. But he was when it was his turn, he was excited. He was excited to go on dates. You know, so for Hollywood, I know that he genuinely cares for her. But unfortunately, they're in a place now of limbo, and I would say it's limbo, but it's not really limbo. It's somewhere I would call suspended time. They're in a place where a decision has already been made. And all that's happening is that they're suspended in time right now. It's going to get made. It's going to happen, because I've seen this kind of energy before. It goes one way, right? And you guys know, if it's not a yes, it's a what? No. In regards to obviously their situation right now, like I said, they're in suspended limbo, which is that it's for a time in a season that they will be in its place. But I think the decision has already been made. It's just been taking a little bit longer than it needs to, right? What I want to say is, obviously, women are often as well told that they are more emotionally mature than men, right? But if you add that to the enlightenment that Ashley has come into, that's the astronomical. If that's the case, then that's an astronomical gap between the two of them. It's too big of a gap to recover. And I think what's happening here is that Ashley's really trying to decipher whether he can make this just jump. Okay, because it's been a long time in the same format of behavior, same pattern of behavior, and after 9 years, he still hasn't grown from that, but she's grown from it. And this is what I'm saying. So where she's standing at the moment, she's looking at it going, wait, hold on. In 9 years, he hasn't grown past this point. I've grown even further. And now I'm going to wait how long before he gets to that point, which is why I said about...
So you've not always been emotionally honest with each other. That's how you got to the first bump. The first bump was...
him even going to counseling now, it could be too late because this should have been taken earlier on. But then again, has she been emotionally honest enough to be able to tell him this, to get into that place where he should be able to adhere to go into therapy a long time ago? Has he been able to do that? Do you know what I'm saying? Has she been emotionally honest in that respect and said that to him? We don't know, right? And so I know that obviously the past pain is a very big issue as well, because we're talking about the past pain. We're talking about 9 years they've dealt together, and a lot of people are like, why do they keep talking about 9 years? Listen, why do you keep talking about your ex-relationship? Listen, people talk about their relationships, like let's explore the 9 years. You get me? Leave them alone. But real spit, like 9 years. And like I said, the first 5 years, if you know about them, they were banging, excited, and then obviously the marriage situation stuff. He got scared, dragged her along for 2, so we were in 7 years, and the next 2 she spent then kind of like not sure whether she wants to really be in this or not. Yeah. So now, why is it they're 9 years in, and after her 2 years, they're not at the point of being ready to marry? I'll tell you why. Because what partly also because of Ashley's thing, and I don't want to go too deep into it just yet, because I think I'll do this in another video. Part of Ashley's also I guess blowback is that I don't think she's even aware of this. This is something I think she's not aware of, and some people have said it, but I don't think she's very aware of it. Part of her doing what she did with Kwame, part of her connecting with Kwame, part of how she turned the kiss into an exchange is a dismissiveness of the fact that there's part of her that wants to get back at Hollywood. It's not to say that she's consciously trying to hurt Hollywood, no. But part of her is trying to say, let me teach you the lesson you taught me. Right, and I'll go deep into this maybe in the next review I do, where it's like it's not to break you, it's to show you what you did to me. Let me show you what you did, okay? And then I want you to, because remember what Shay said. I want you to remember this. Shay said, men don't learn unless you do the exact same thing to them, right? And I think it was, I don't know if it's that scene where I think Ashley kind of nodded her head. Yes. Why? Because she felt like every time she's spoken to Hollywood about a situation, he hasn't learned. So here's what she's going to do. I'm going to teach you what you've done to me. Is it right? No, it's not. It's absolutely wrong. It's wrong. Why? You should just leave. Do you understand? If you get to the point of having to show the person what their wrong is and do the same to them, you're in the space of tit-la-tet-la-tet. I said this, you're in the space of la-tet. We don't want la-tet. Do you know why we don't want la-tet? Because it doesn't end. Violence begets violence. So if you're doing that in your relationship, you're only going to escalate the bloodbath in your relationship. So what Ashley's doing right now, part of her, and I call it the dark subconscious. Sometimes we have dark thoughts, and when we want to get back at the person, we'll say, oh no, that's not what it was. But there's a darkness that's inside of all of us when we feel hurt to try and get sometimes to do something, and this is it, to do something to him, right? So partly what she's saying here is this. Let me keep it frank. Partly what she's saying is this: you should sit there and take the blows I'm giving you, because when you spent 7 years wasting my time, you felt no way. Now when I'm wasting your time for 2 years or so, you're crying about it. Why is it now? Why are you crying when you spent 7 years doing me dirty? And I'm only spending 2 years, and now you're suddenly ready, and I want to waste your time and you're not feeling it. Right? This is la-tet. Right? And so that subconscious thoughts comes out into the behaviors. Did she really make a connection with Kwame? Yes, she did. Did she really like Kwame? Yes, she did. Did she find him attractive? Yes, she did.
If there was no Hollywood, would it currently be Ashley and Kwame right now?
Definitely.
And I told her she can have this dude, you dig? She can go with him. I've been.
All of those things are real. All those things are absolutely real. But she came into the show, and once they said about the dating, she was open to it. Reason being, her position for a very long time had not been of one where she was happy in that relationship. So Hollywood can say, oh, you know, I've been doing this for 9 years, but bro, you may have been. Has she been happy during that period of time? No. And someone might say, well, this is what women are like. You know, they can never be satisfied. Well, bro, if you ask them no one's satisfied. No man, no woman is satisfied. Listen, let me tell you something. No man, no woman is satisfied. I see people in the office, when I was working in the office, men and women cheating on their partners. Nobody's fully satisfied. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. We need to be able to work out some kinks. Yeah? So now, you know, this situation at the moment, okay, with Ashley and Hollywood. Ashley, there was the expectation that was given to her, which is that just do anything but don't have sex, right? Had a hidden expectation within it. Everybody's aware of this hidden expectation, right? Nobody thinks that whilst I'm in a relationship with you, you know, can go and do what I want. But she did make a caveat, and I want to make this very, very clear. The caveat was, we single. And oh God, I don't want to go too deep into it just yet. You know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is this: when they entered into the show, they were on equal points. Reason being, when Ashley was saying to him, I don't mind if you go on dates. Go for it. I don't mind. Yeah, go for it. Because, and that's, I think I said in my earlier review, my goal's done. If a girl says to you, I don't mind if you go on dates, go on then. Go on date those people. Feel free. I knew she was already signing out. At that point, I knew she was already signing out, which is why the Kwame situation happens. Do you get it? So what's happened is this. At the time, Hollywood didn't take the warning seriously. He didn't. He always thought his girl would be his girl. And mandem, we do this a lot. We take well, not even just mandem. Girls do this a lot as well, bruv. When they're dealing with a certain type of guy, they take it for granted that he'll always be there, and you'll always be mine. Say you love me, love me, love me. He thought his girl would always be there. We've heard him say it. You know, I knew that Ashley was a sweet girl. I trusted her. She'd never do something like this. Da da da. Yeah, you thought that she wasn't capable of doing this. You know what? Sometimes knowing someone is capable of some damage is good for you because it keeps you on your toes. It makes you respect them. Doesn't let you get complacent. Familiarity breeds disrespect sometimes. You understand? So when obviously, you know, they got onto the show and Ashley was open to it, I could see that he was thrown away. He was like, wait, hold on, my girl's like, you know. So there was a lot that was going on before we even got to a point of Kwame. You know, there was a lot that was going on. So for me, you know, I can see there's a lot of sunken time into the relationship. And I think at the point where we're at right now, I think Ashley is almost at a point, and this is me just saying, this is my review. I love Ashley and I love Hollywood too. I think Ashley's at a point, if I'm honest with you, where she's done. But she's always waiting for someone to put her out of her misery. You know what I mean? Like, she's done. She can't fight no more. She's standing still. Legs are wobbling. But she's just kind of hoping, punch me out. Yeah, just knock me out. I want to be out for count. You know, I want to be out for 10. She's struggling to do it herself and give in. That's what I feel she's at right now. And she's just hoping for the knockout punch. I don't think she should go for Kwame or anything like that. But I believe that she's waiting for the knockout punch. You know, if I'm honest with you. That's my honest opinion. But we'll drop a part 2 of this as well. So guys, make sure you stay locked and stay loaded. Let us know your thoughts down below. We'll talk about the actual reunion and break down some of the things that were said and done. And let us know your thoughts and opinions as well in the comment section below.